My family flew to Hawaii on my 30th birthday. They didn't tell me, they didn't invite me. I didn't even know they were gone until my mom posted about it on Instagram. And that same night, sitting alone in the dark, I made one quiet decision. No yelling, no confrontation. Just one button pressed on my phone. 2 weeks later, my dad was calling every single day. My mom was sobbing on voicemails. My sister was begging me to take it back. And all I did was stop. Let me paint you a picture of my 30th birthday. I was on my couch in Columbus, Ohio, wearing a t-shirt I'd slept in for 2 days, eating cold pad thai out of a takeout container. Totally alone. That was my welcome to a new decade. Not forgot like, oops, we'll call you tomorrow. Forgot like, boarded a plane to Maui, checked into a beachfront resort, and posted about it while I sat in the dark. My mom had posted a photo carousel. 5 pictures, crystal blue water, a luau dinner. My mom, my dad, my sister Bridget, and her husband Craig, all standing on a balcony overlooking the ocean. Big smiles. Flower lace, the whole thing. The caption read, "Spontaneous family trip to paradise." Nothing beats being surrounded by the people who matter most. Family first, family first. I stared at that screen until everything went blurry. And the part that made it so much worse? I was the one paying for the roof over Bridget's head. She was right there in that photo. Toes in the sand, holding a piña colada. On a trip I didn't even know was happening. My name is Jolene. Yes, like the Dolly Parton song. Trust me, I've heard every joke. I grew up outside Dayton, Ohio. Middle class, nothing special. My dad, Russell, worked at a manufacturing plant for over 20 years. My mom, Diane, was a receptionist at a dentist's office. And then there was my older sister, Bridget, 2 years older, and the golden child of the family. You know that kid who gets celebrated just for breathing? That was Bridget, and me? I was the difficult one. Not because I did anything wild. I just had opinions, I asked questions. I didn't smile and nod when something felt wrong. And apparently in my family, that made me the problem. Bridget got the bigger bedroom. Bridget got the newer car at 16. I got her old one, dented bumper, passenger window that didn't roll down. Bridget's college was fully paid for. Mine? My mom's exact words, "Jolene, you're so independent. You'll figure it out." So I figured it out. I took out loans. Worked 2 jobs through school. Graduated with a degree in accounting and about $40,000 in debt. Bridget got a communications degree, barely used it, married a guy named Craig at 24, and moved into a house they couldn't actually afford. And that's where this story really starts. About 3 years before my 30th birthday, Bridget and Craig hit serious trouble. Craig lost his job, then got one that paid less. Then Bridget called me crying, saying they were 2 months behind on the mortgage and might lose the house. And what did I do? I set up an automatic transfer, $500 a month straight to their mortgage company. Me, the one with student loans. The one nobody had ever helped. Bridget told me it would just be for a few months. That was 3 years ago. I never missed a single payment, not once. And my parents had no idea. Bridget had begged me not to tell them because she didn't want to look like she couldn't manage her own life. So I kept it quiet like I always did. Because that's the role I played. Jolene handles it, Jolene doesn't complain. Jolene is fine. My dad's mom, Nana Mae, was the only one who ever really saw through it. 81 years old, lives in Springfield with 2 cats and 0 patience for nonsense. She'd call me every Sunday and say things like, "Baby girl, you give too much of yourself to people who don't check if you're hungry." I used to laugh it off. She was right. She was always right. I don't usually make a big deal out of birthdays, but 30 felt different, like a milestone that actually meant something. I told a friend at work, "I think my family might be planning something." I genuinely believed that. I woke up to nothing. No texts, no calls. Not from Bridget, not from my mom, not from my dad. Nothing. I told myself they were probably building up to a surprise. Maybe they'd call later. Maybe I was missing something. By 2 in the afternoon, still nothing. I texted my mom, casual, "Hey, what are you up to today?" She replied 4 hours later, "Busy day. Talk soon. Busy day." On my birthday, that night, I opened Instagram. And there it was. The carousel, the ocean. The smiles, the caption about the people who matter most. I sat there in the dark for maybe 10 minutes, just completely still. And then something inside me shifted. Not rage exactly, something colder. Something quieter. I didn't cry. I didn't call anyone to scream. I just opened my banking app. I scrolled to the automatic transfer. The one I'd been sending every single month for 3 years. $2,500 a month, $54,000 total. $54,000. from the family member who apparently didn't matter enough to be told about the trip. I hovered over the cancel button for about 5 seconds. Then I pressed it. No speech. No warning, no confrontation. Just done. I closed the app, turned off my phone, and I slept better that night than I had in months. Nana May called me the next morning. She was the only one who did. She sang me happy birthday, off-key with her cats meowing in the background. Then she asked, "Did those fools remember?" I told her about the Hawaii post. She went quiet for a second. Then she said, "Jolene, sometimes the trash takes itself to the beach." I laughed so hard I almost spit out my coffee. For the first few days after my birthday, nothing. Complete radio silence. They came back from Hawaii. No belated text, no sorry we forgot. Bridget posted a photo at the airport with the caption, "Back to reality," and still, not a single word to me. It was like I didn't exist. And honestly, for the first time, I was okay with that. I went to work, I came home, I watched terrible reality TV, and I put that $1,500 toward my own student loans instead. You want to know what that felt like? Freedom, actual, tangible freedom. Like I'd been carrying someone else's furniture up a staircase for years, and I finally just set it down. But I knew the clock was ticking. Bridget's mortgage was due on the 1st. I'd canceled my transfer on October 17th, my birthday, which meant she had about 2 weeks before she'd noticed the money didn't show up. November 4th, my phone buzzed. First message from Bridget in nearly 3 weeks. You want to know what it said? "Hey, did you forget to send the payment this month? Can you check? That's it. No happy belated birthday. No mention of Hawaii. No, hey, you doing okay? Just a did I forget?" Like I was some automated service that had malfunctioned. I stared at that text for a long time. Then I typed back 3 words. I didn't forget. Put my phone on silent, made myself pasta. Garlic bread on the side. Absolutely delicious, by the way. By November 7th, my dad was calling. Russell, the man who had flown to Hawaii on my birthday without a single word, was now ringing me twice a day. I let every call go to voicemail. First message, "Hey Joe, your sister mentioned some kind of mix-up with the payment. Give me a call when you get a chance." A mix-up. That's what Bridget told them. Second message, 2 days later. "Jolene, this is your father. We need to talk. This is serious." Serious, interesting word, Dad. You know what else was serious? Your daughter's 30th birthday. Then my mom got involved. And when Diane enters the chat, it's a whole production. She didn't just call. She left a 4-minute voicemail. 4 minutes! She started out calm, doing that thing she does where she sounds completely reasonable. "Sweetheart, I don't know what's going on, but Bridget is very upset. I think there's been some kind of misunderstanding." Around minute 2, her voice started cracking. "I just don't understand why you do this to your sister. She depends on that money, Jolene. You know she depends on it." And then, the part that made my jaw actually drop, she said, "After everything this family has done for you, I would think you'd show a little more gratitude." I played that voicemail twice because I honestly thought I'd misheard her. Gratitude for what, Mom? For not inviting me on the trip? For making me pay my own way through college while Bridget got a free ride? For treating me like the family afterthought my entire life? I called Nana May that night. My hands were shaking a little, not from anger, from that very specific kind of hurt that only your own mother can cause. You know the kind. Nana May listened to everything without interrupting once. When I finished, she said, "Jolene, baby, you have been the bank, the backbone, and the Band-Aid for that family. And they didn't even save you a seat at the table. You don't owe them gratitude. They owe you an apology." Then she added, "And if your mama calls me, I'll tell her myself." I was laughing and crying at the same time. That's Nana May. 81 years old and still the only person in my family who makes complete sense. By mid-November, Bridget and Craig had missed their mortgage payment entirely. A late notice arrived. Craig tried to scramble the money together, but they were way too short. Turns out, even with my $1,500, they'd been living right at the edge of their budget. Without it, they were drowning. Then Bridget sent me the longest text I'd ever received from her. It started with, "I don't know why you're doing this to me." She talked about how stressed she was, how Craig wasn't sleeping, how unfair it was that I'd spring this on her without warning. She said she felt betrayed. I read that sitting on my kitchen floor, because my legs just sort of gave out. Not because I felt guilty about the money, but because after everything, the years of being second place, the birthday, the Hawaii photos, the total silence, my sister's first real message to me in weeks was entirely about what I was taking away from her. Not one word about my birthday. Not one "I'm sorry," just what she was losing. I didn't respond right away. I needed to think. And then I did something I probably should have done a long time ago. I wrote a letter, not a text. Not a voicemail, an actual letter on real paper, in my own handwriting. And I mailed it to my parents' house addressed to all three of them, Mom, Dad, and Bridget. I sat at my kitchen table with a cup of coffee that went cold twice before I finished. I didn't plan what to say. I just started, and it was like 30 years of words poured out of a faucet I didn't know how to turn off. I told them about the mortgage. 3 years, $54,000. I wrote the number out in full so they could really see it. I told them Bridget had begged me to keep it secret. I told them about every birthday that passed without acknowledgement. Every achievement that got shrugged off. Every time Bridget was celebrated for something ordinary while I was overlooked for something extraordinary. I told them about the day I graduated, with honors, working 2 jobs, and nobody came because Bridget had a brunch that weekend. A brunch, and I told them about Hawaii. I told them that finding out from an Instagram post alone on my 30th birthday was the loneliest moment of my entire life. That seeing that caption about the people who matter most made me feel like I'd been quietly voted out of my own family. I ended the letter with this: I don't hate any of you. I just finally ran out of reasons to keep pretending the way you treat me is okay. The payments are done. Not because I want Bridget to suffer, but because I need to stop suffering for people who don't even notice. When you're ready to really see me, you know where I am. I sealed it, drove to the post office, mailed it before I could change my mind. My hands were shaking the whole time. Have you ever done something you knew was completely right and still felt terrified doing it? That's exactly what that felt like. Nana May called me that evening like she had some kind of sixth sense. When I told her about the letter, she went quiet for a few seconds. Then she said, "You know what you just did, baby girl? You finally stopped whispering and started talking. And they're going to hear you, whether they want to or not." The letter arrived on a Tuesday. I know because my dad called me 11 minutes after the mail usually comes. This time I picked up. His voice sounded different, not angry. Not doing that fake calm thing he does when he's annoyed. He sounded shaken. He said, "Jolene, I just read your letter." Long pause. "Is all of this true? You've been paying Bridget's mortgage?" I said, "Yes, Dad." "For 3 years." Another pause. Then he said something I genuinely wasn't expecting. "Why didn't you tell us?" And I said, because Bridget asked me not to. And because I thought maybe if I helped enough, you'd eventually just notice me on your own." 10 full seconds of silence. When your father goes quiet like that, those seconds feel like hours. Then I heard him clear his throat and his voice cracked when he said, "I didn't know, Joe." I swear I didn't know. Do I believe he didn't know about the mortgage? Yes, actually. But did he not notice I'd been sidelined my whole life? He was there, he saw it. He just didn't think it was a big deal. And honestly, that might be worse. That same night, my mom called. She was crying before she even said hello, full, unguarded sobbing. She started talking about the trip, then stopped and said, "Your father and I? We thought you were busy with work. Bridget said you told her you couldn't travel in October." I felt my stomach drop. "Mom, Bridget never asked me. Nobody told me you were going. I found out from your Instagram post. On my birthday alone." Dead silence. You could practically hear everything rearranging inside her head. All those years of Bridget said this and Bridget told us that. Suddenly shifting. 2 days later, Bridget called. She opened defensively. "Jolene, I don't know why you had to drag Mom and Dad into this. This was between us. Between us. She'd literally taken our entire family to Hawaii and left me behind. But the mortgage was supposed to stay between us.